Hi guys and welcome to Whiskey Geek, Ben here, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. Now one thing that's important to remember when you have a relatively large whiskey collection is to turn the bottles about monthly. And this is to keep the cork damp, stop it from deteriorating, going mouldy, or even breaking when you open the bottle. If any of that happens, it could ruin your whiskey, which nobody wants. And with the recent addition of my firstborn child, I'm late to do this, so I thought I'd take the opportunity whilst I whip all these bottles down and give them a turn to actually run you guys through my collection and show you where it's up to. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos and it's developed quite a lot, it's changed. I do use the term collection a little bit tentatively though. I don't like to get precious about it. It's a living, it's an active collection. Most of my enjoyment comes from sharing the whiskey, whether it's in person with people I know or via my YouTube channel. So they're there to be enjoyed, they're there to be drunk. They're not investments. There's one or two bottles that are a little bit special to me, but aside from that, I don't like to get precious about it. So first thing I need to do is get all these whiskies down off the shelves, everything out from the corners and inside this thing, and get them out on display so I can show you guys and sort through them. But this is going to take a while, so cue montage. I wonder how much weight this table can take. So here it all is. What a bloody mess. One of the things that has been suggested to me is that I stop putting unopened stuff up on the shelves. So I'm going to sort through this. I'll show you guys bit by bit because this is going to be too chaotic, and then I'll get it back up on the shelves. So first up we've got a stack of minis. Now these are a collection of things that have been sent to me, given to me, or stuff that I've picked up because I've wanted to try them, and some of them date back quite a while. These Highland Park set was one of the first things that I sat with and really began to dissect and appreciate. Some Glenfarclas, Auchentoshan, Tullibardine, Speyburn, Leipzig, Kilhoman, Ardbeg, Lefroy. A stack of fancy little samples from Drinks by the Dram there. A couple of taster packs from Dalmore. This is from when I've been driving and nipped in to grab them. Got some really cool, something from Ebhead there. Really cool samples that have been given to me. Some really old tomatin stuff there. Looking forward to trying that. Blind set there from Greg over at Greg's Whiskey Guide. Some more tomatin, Balblair and Glengoyne, I think those are. So a lot of samples for me to get through, but they don't need to go on display, so I'm going to tuck them all away again now. The table's looking much less like it's going to collapse now, which is making me less nervous. But here we go, here is all of my Islay malts. So we'll take a quick run through there. Now first I've got some independently bottled Smokehead from Ian McLeod's. It's undisclosed distillery. We've got the Sherry Bomb and the Extra Rare, Bowmore 12 and 15. Kilhoman, that's a port cask matured, absolutely love that when I tried it at the distillery. Then, of course, lots of Bruichladdich and Port Charlotte. Been on a real binge with these guys recently. You've got the Laddie 8 at the back, Laddie Valanche, that's a sherry cask I think it was. The Islay Barley 2011, really good, 2007 CC01, 10-year-old Port Charlotte, MRC01 and the heavily peated Islay Barley. Then Lagavulins, got the 8-year-old Distillers edition and a backup Distillers edition. This was a little bit of an epiphany whiskey for me, so I got another one from the same batch. Lagavulin 16. This is a distillery exclusive 2017, Jazz Festival 2017 and Jazz Festival 2018. Both of these were picked by Ian MacArthur himself. Really good stuff. Then some Bunnahabhain over here, 3 travel exclusives at the back. The Éirí na Gréine is the only one that I know how to say, so I'm not going to try these ones yet. Styradar, really fantastic price point whiskey, and 2 special single casks from the distillery. Really looking forward to trying them. A Manzanilla and a peated Pedro Jimenez. Then some lovely Lefroy, Got the 10-year-old cask strength, that is batch 10. They've just released batch 11, I think. Quarter cask, another fantastic price point whiskey. Lafroig Law. This was an Oloroso cask that I filled at the distillery. Nice little gift set. And then we move on to some lovely Kalila. We've got 18-year-old unpeated, 18-year-old, 12-year-old, and Distillers edition. A cask strength distillery exclusive. Not sure what age that one is, but it's first fill Kentucky bourbon and specially charred Californian red wine casks. Really enjoyed that one. Port Askeig 100 proof, another cask strength, 57.1% of batch strength. Then we've got Ardbeg, Ugadal and the Drum. I'm not sure I'll ever actually open this one because the price of it is shot up to a point where I know I just won't enjoy it enough. We'll see. So there's my Islers. I'll do the bottle flip and only leave the ones up there that have been opened. Find somewhere else to tuck those others away. So next up, we're down the other end of the table doing some world whiskies. So a comparatively simple collection here. We start off with a blend from the Lakes Distillery. I believe this has got some Welsh and English in it. Penderyn Sherrywood. This one was my favourite of the Penderyns. Still didn't wow me, but a very enjoyable dram. Crown Royal, Maker's Mark, Buffalo Trace, Woodford Reserve and Bullet Bourbon. These are recent purchases, but I've begun to really enjoy them. The Woodford Reserve and Maker's Mark over ice in this heat in particular. Good stuff. Carrying on down this end of the table, we're now looking at the blends. So again, we have a relatively simple selection here. Starting down this end, we've got Douglas Lang's Rock Oyster cask strength. This was just before they renamed it to Rock Island. Apparently the Oyster name was putting people off. Then we've got a bunch of Johnnie Walkers, Green Label, Double Black, Black, Gold, Platinum and Blue. I'm planning on doing a comparison of these, a blind tasting of these at some point. Up here we've got Highland Black 8-year-old. This is £13 from Aldi. This is a great whiskey to have around for when people want it over Coke. Doesn't offend anyone, but it's really quite enjoyable. This Old St Andrews Clubhouse was a gift from my brother-in-law. We enjoyed this one over some games. It's really quite easy drinking. And this interesting bottle was a gift from my father-in-law to celebrate Alfie's birth. It's like a slightly nicer Old Pulteney 12. It's really quite a nice blend. I'm looking forward to spending a bit more time on that one. Next up, we're down here looking at some of the Lowlands. So I've got the Glenkinchie 12-year-old, these two Airstones, the Line Cask and the Sea Cask. Not sure on these ones. I will be doing a review and a side-by-side of them at some point, but don't think they're quite what they're made out to be. And then Auchentoshan American Oak and Auchentoshan 3-wood. So again, a relatively simple little selection from the Lowlands. Next up, we've got some of the Game of Thrones whiskies. Now we've got the Clynelish. I've done the review of that one. Talisker, Lagavulin. I've also done the review of that one. Oban, and this Royal Lochnagar is actually my dad's. I need to hurry up and review it so I can give it back to him, but he's been very kind and let me borrow it. Next up, we've got something a little bit more substantial, going over to the Islands. Now, although these aren't technically their own region, I always find it convenient to separate them. So we've got the new 12-year-old and 10-year-old, the old 10-year-old, the Origin, and this is the 7-wood, no age statement. I'm finding it fairly easy to reach past Jura at the moment, but maybe someday I'll begin to chime better with them. Reasonable selection of some Highland Parks here. We've got the new 16-year-old. I think this is a travel retail exclusive. The old bottling of the 18-year-old. After doing this taster kit early on in my journey, the 18-year-old is the one that really settled with me, and so I ended up buying a bottle of that, even more so than the 25-year-old and the 30-year-old, to be honest. This classic 12-year-old, another fantastic price point whiskey, and the Viking Tribe. This is an Amazon exclusive. Then we go up and we've got a Talisker, the Distillers edition. This is double matured in Amoroso cask wood. Scapa. I've never tried a Scapa before. I'll be really interested to do a comparison of that one with some of the Highland Parks. That one was another gift from my father-in-law to celebrate Alfie's birth. And then we've got some nice Arons here. Now I have tried the 14-year-old and I'm really enjoying that one. Haven't opened these two yet, these cask finishes, the Sherry cask and the Cotorotti, but I'm looking forward to them as well. Now for someone who hasn't really clicked with Speysides yet, I do have a fairly good selection of them. So we'll start off up here. Got the Tamdhu 10-year-old, batch strength, and the 12-year-old. We've got Balvenie Caribbean Cask and Balvenie Double Wood here. Glenrothes Vintage Reserve and Select Reserve, and an Oloroso Cask Nadura Glenlivet here. Looking forward to trying that one. I've enjoyed quite a few Glenlivets, but not bought many of them. Glenmarnock, this is another Aldi whiskey. It offers something fairly unique for its price point, 29-30-year-old whiskey for a fairly good price. Macallan Gold, this is the old gold. I think there's something that replaces it. But this one I bought fairly early on. It's the only Macallan I own. It's interesting every time I go back to it because it's not as I remember it, but I've got a lot to thank for this whiskey because it taught me quite a bit. It was a little bit of an epiphany and it started me off on this journey. Arbor Abunna Cascanum, 16-year-old, and the 12-year-old. This is another one that I need to kill off and review. It's been open for a while. Knockandoo 18-year-old, 15-year-old, and the 12-year-old. Benramok, that's the peat smoke sherry cask matured, and the 10-year-old. So not a bad choice in Speyside. So next up is the Highlands, and I've split them down into sections so that I can cover them in a little bit better detail rather than trying to cram them up on the shelves. First up, Tullibardine, and we've got the Sauternes and the sherry and the Burgundy. Oddly enough, the Burgundy is my favourite, but for some reason it's the last one I'm getting around to open. I tend to do that a lot with whiskies for some reason. The ones that I look forward to the most, the ones that I savour the most, are the last ones that I get to, which is an odd way of living. I've also got an independently bottled, what's that one, Bordeaux red wine cask. That's from Malt of Scotland. I've got a couple of Malt of Scotland bottles there. Tomatin, I've got some of these cool limited editions. Maggie's, that one is a limited release with some fairly old stock in it. Highland Whisky Festival, Virgin Oak single cask, Oloroso and Pedro Jimenez single casks. Those three were hand filled at the distillery. Then here we've got a sherry cask from Tomatin, again bottled by Malt of Scotland. Port cask and the Legacy. They are the only core expressions that I have for Tomatin, oddly. Then I've got the Water, Fire and Earth. They're part of the Five Virtues range. And a Moscatel finish, Moscatel wine. That's another limited edition. Not yet opened that one, but really looking forward to it. Moving on over here, we've got some fantastic Glengoynes. Both of these two are, again, distillery casks. If you look at the colour difference, you can see I've got a sherry cask there and a bourbon cask. And I think I'm actually looking forward to the bourbon cask a little bit more. From memory, there was a lot to that one, a lot of finesse. Douglas Lang, independently bottled. That one is a 10-year-old at 46%. Then we've got the Legacy Chapter 1 Teapot Dram, 18-year-old, 15-year-old, 14-year-old, 12-year-old, and the cask strength. What batch is that one? Batch 6 cask strength. Now continuing with the Highlands, we've got some tasty Balblair. We've got two travel exclusives there. Look how dark they are. 1999 and 2004. Then behind that we've got the 2000 vintage, 1990 vintage and 1991 vintage. Independently bottled, that's another sherry hogshead. That one is 57.2%. This is the only single malt whiskey society bottle I have. I've got high hopes for it. What do they call that one? Malaga Raisin Ice Cream. Another Balblair there, number 70.22. Gordon MacPhail 10-year-old Balblair. This one is quite an old bottling that I stumbled across in Islay. Thought I'd pick it up, give it a try. Then we've got some Dalwhinnie. This one's the Elizy Strom and a distillery exclusive. That one's at 48%. Moving over here, we got some Glendronachs, peated Portwood, Glendronach Allardyce 18-year-old, 12-year-old, and the 8-year-old. I need to finish that 12-year-old. Really enjoy it, but the bottle's going to start going if I'm not quick with that one. Then over here, we got some Clean Leash, the 14, the old Old Pulteney 12 and the new Old Pulteney 12, Deanston 12-year-old, Glenmorangie La Santa, some Feta Cairn. These came recommended to me, the Feta Cairn Fior, so I grabbed a bottle of that one and the 12-year-old when it came out. Then I found this 21-year-old single cask bottled by Masters of Malt, and it's super aggressive, so I'm not sure what I'm going to think when I come to these two. I have heard that they're relatively delicate, but judging off of this one, I'm not sure what I'm going to find. And then finishing off with some Dalmore. Again, desperately need to kill this bottle, and I've been struggling with this bottle so much that I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to opening those or whether I even will. So let's get them up on the shelves. So here we are, the Whisky Geek bar as it currently stands, everything that I have open. Let me know in the comments down below what you would be most excited to try if you're coming over for a drink, and what you're surprised that I don't currently have in my collection. What do you think I need to add? Cheers guys.